Hey Gearheads, this is Don with Through Gamer Goggles. That's gamer-goggles.com. And in today's episode of Figure Forge, we are going to assemble an HHT 90 Overlord hover tank from Heavy Gear Blitz by Drewpond 9. This kit is their largest resin kit and is incredible. The detail is fantastic. I've been gaming for a long time, and this is by far the cleanest resin kit that I have ever opened. I've got it laid out just the way that Drewpond 9 has it laid out, the parts laid out on the cover of their directions manual for assembly, and I'm basically going to run right through their directions. So the first step is to thread this pin through the turret, and at the same time I am going to glue the back side of the pin, the head of the pin, onto the back side of the top of the hull. Again, I can't tell you how absolutely impressed I've been with the lack of mold lines and the lack of just general argument that I've had from this kit. So just a touch of glue to glue the head onto, well, I'm sorry, I told you that backwards. I'm going to thread the pin through the bottom of this, the top of the hull, and glue the head of the other end of the pin inside the turret. I had that backwards. And I don't know why I did that wrong 3 times before I filmed this video, but it's there. So just a touch of glue to hold it in place over the hole in the top of the turret. I guess they're calling that the cap for the pin. From there I'm going to attach the 2 pieces, and with the bottom of this knot being glued to the top of the hull, that'll leave the turret free to spin, provided that you don't make a big mess with the glue. So basically, the bottom half is free here, but the top half of it is glued in place, which will allow you to spin that turret freely when things are finished. The next step beyond the pin is to go ahead and attach the main cannon. The main cannon comes in 2 parts. This attaches to the front of the turret, and it's just a snap-on piece so that you'll be able to traverse the turret up and down as much as you want to. Be kind of cool for the game. I really can't wait to see this thing together. I've seen pictures, but I've never held it in my hands. So again, just a touch of glue. Compared to a lot of other people, I tend to be very, very mild with the glue. I would rather not have the glue bulging out of joints and so on and so forth, and some people aren't bothered by that, but I'm, I guess, a little weird about it. After attaching that, we're going to work on the top of the turret. The top of the turret has a mini turret that slides into this hole here. I don't think it would be necessary to glue this. I am going to glue mine in place because it means less to me to have the turret move than it does for me to have the turret spin, or lost rather. I'd rather glue it down. Their directions say that the next few parts are snap-on parts, which means again the small cannon here just snaps onto this turret. Spin that toward the front, that won't be bad. Just like the big turret. I guess I missed a little bit. Clean up. Again, this kit was fantastic to clean up. With it being as many parts as it is and such, it took me about 10 minutes to clean all of the major mold lines and such off. So this snaps onto the small turret, allowing this gun to also up and down. I'm going to have to clean that inside up just a little more to get it to snap on properly. And wow, that was a mistake. So that just snaps on there, allowing the cannon to move up and down if you don't break the barrel off, which I just did. That's going to bug me for the rest of the evening, but should be a quick fix for the purposes of the video. Everything on here, that would be probably my only complaint ever with resin. I love working with resin in general, but I got a little excited just a minute ago and pushed a little hard at an odd angle with the barrel. So when you're building yours, make sure you don't do that. I'm going to cheat and put just a touch of zip kicker on this. Maybe not. Get that back and you can see what I'm doing. Just a little touch of zip kicker. This barrel pretty much only fits on here one way. The brake was very clean. So from there we are adding just these couple of small pieces. Again, they state that they're not necessary to glue. I will be gluing all of them down as I do this video. I plan for this model to be as much a showpiece as a play. In a later video, we'll be trying to airbrush this kit. I haven't broken out my airbrush in a couple of years, so we're tuning it up in the background as I film. And we're going to see if we can. This kit just screams airbrush to me. I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's all finished and what all we can manage. So with the top of these smaller turrets, there's two of them. The doors for the turrets, the caps on top, are swivelable if you leave them unglued. And the kit did come with two small infantry figures, one Grell and one Morgana, I believe, depending on what kind of crew you're going to assign to it. I am not going to be gluing these into the model, nor am I going to be magnetizing them. I'm actually going to leave the hatches shut for appearance, again, because I want it to be a showpiece, and it's very much a personal preference thing, I would guess. Some people will be screaming as they watch the video that I glued these shut. And if someone else had filmed it and put the infantry in, I probably would have been screaming the other direction. So that is the top of the turret. The next step is to flip the primary hull, and I'm going to glue the 4 landing skids onto it. Just a little glue. I'm constantly reminded as I do teach people to put models together, or as I put models together myself, of my kindergarten teacher telling us just a dab will do, just a dab will do, with the Elmer's glue, which we of course always manage to smear over everything, you know, wind up with it on your face and on your hands, and sometimes on the, you know, the kid next to you. So super glue is not nearly as fun to do that with, for the record. These actually fit very nicely into the holes. They're nice and tight. You probably could get away with not gluing these also, but again, I am partial to kind of gluing everything down. So I'm real bad, as opposed to some of the other people that record videos for the site and so on and so forth, in that I don't magnetize anything unless it's absolutely necessary. I kind of just build it. If I need a second gear with a different weapon, I just buy one when I can. So the next step is to flip the hull over, and it came with these fantastic little seats to pop in, so that it looks like it should carry infantry when you open it up. I am never going to open this tank once I glue the top onto it, so this is actually just a step that I'm going to demonstrate. They all lock into place very nicely. Everything fits very well, and if you get them lined up the right way, all of the seats actually line up to the bulkheads properly also. But they pop right in. I'm going to take them back out and probably find a neat use for them in another kit. So the lower hull, or I'm sorry, the hull has a second one of those small turrets that I was talking about, and again, I am going to glue that in place and see if I can put it all together without breaking the barrel off this time. I hope, as much as I'm sickened that I did that, I hope everybody got a giggle, because if situations were reversed, I certainly would have got a laugh watching somebody else do it. And just like the other one, I'm going to glue down the hatch. Doesn't take just a little glue. All of the parts on this, as I pre-fitted while I was cleaning what bit of mold lines and flash there were, everything fits fantastically. All of the holes are relatively tight, so there shouldn't be any fight whatsoever to putting what you need to onto the parts where they need to go, I guess. And all of the holes seem deep enough that magnetizing would be very simple. You know, especially these turrets and such, there's plenty of room beneath them to slap a magnet so that you can remove it. With heavy, you're not tracking destroyed weapons in the way that some other games do. I don't think it's real necessary. I have a feeling, based on reading battle reports and what I've played so far, that when the turret on this thing goes, it just goes. It won't be necessary to remove the tiny turret that sits on top or anything like that. The next step from here is to go ahead and mount the side-facing or sponson mounted weapons. There's a missile rack and something to represent either the heavy autocannon or the very heavy autocannon, I believe, are the options for the side. So again, fantastic spot for magnets. I have no desire whatsoever to have these move. So the missile racks come with a little mount that would allow you to swivel them, because they just snap into place, and I probably will leave those swivel. But the mounts themselves, I'm going to go ahead and put a little glue on them and permanently fix them, facing a little way toward the front, I think. I'm sure that when we do battle reports and such, we'll talk more about the weapons on this, but the option to upgrade these 2 missile racks to heavy anti-tank missiles seems like just something I can't see not doing. I mean, I guess it depends on the table size, but it increases the range incredibly and increases the damage pretty well too. So it's not something that I can see myself not doing. So I know in the directions for this tank, there are a couple of spots where they really recommend that you go ahead and paint things prior to assembly. I know they recommended between the turret and the top plate for this bottom hull. I think with the airbrush and just a little extra effort, I'll be good to go as far as getting paint where it needs to go on these models, or on these bits. So I didn't paint it first. Bad habits from the guy who taught me to paint miniatures, I think. We kind of built everything completely primed and painted from there, with the assumption that if something is covered when the model is completely finished, why paint it? Yeah. A good prime coat, just so that there's no raw metal underneath, works just as well as hours and hours of extra painting in some cases. So I have set the 6 sponson mounted weapons, and I did that a little out of order actually from their directions. Their directions say that before you do that, you should go ahead and pop on the engine pods. There are 2 larger engine pods, and those are for the back, and then the others are all the same size, same shape, and they just go around the rest of the hull. So again, I wonder that these couldn't just be left loose, just popped on, so that you could pose them a bit, but I don't think they'd be very stable. And with everything else that I have done on here, I'm going to put a bit of glue on them. I looked these bits over for quite a while. I don't see that there's a left or a right to these, the 2 big ones in the back. They seem to be exactly the same piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and let them be at rest at the tail of the tank. There's a bit of play left to right, and I think centering them up is probably going to be the best bet. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way down the sides and around the front. The detail level again on this tank is incredible, and with the way that they've positioned all of their engine pods, I think it would be fun to drive one of these. They have a lot of maneuverability. And I know that's kind of nerdy, but that's what we're here for. And these, they fit real tight. You really could get away with not gluing the smaller pods. I'm going to have a little bit of fun with them and position them as though it's trying to maneuver in some way. And that way when I mount it, I can even give it maybe a bit of a cant to the left or right. Probably to the left with the way I've mounted these. So you work your way around the tank. And there are 7 of these smaller pods. And they go on very quickly. I'm actually amazed for the level of detail, especially after what I kind of was expecting when I ordered the tank, at how quickly this model can be assembled. And you add to that the level, how clean, and the level of care that they took in putting everything together, making sure all the parts were there, and that their parts are fantastically clean. This kit has surpassed every one of my expectations. It's going to be beautiful on the table. Statistically in the game, this thing is a juggernaut. I mean, it's just absolutely got to be the centerpiece of your army, and I can't imagine it not performing well beyond even expectations. In fact, now I'm curious to play a few games and see if they manage to keep it balanced, because even though it's a lot of points, it's got the potential to just absolutely decimate anything that it deals with. So, again, not necessarily what they may intend, but I am going to actually, to finish out this video, I'm not going to glue the primary hull into place. I'm actually going to work with it a bit. It does pop right into place. The way that the model is set, it actually slides in from the front to the rear and is a very secure fit. And because of how good that fit is, actually, I may not glue it down. And then the hatch for the back just snaps on. It's got a little pair of guides so that if you hold it flat as you pop it into place, it actually will open and close with the hull glued down or with not for posing and so on and so forth. And because this thing does carry a platoon of Grell infantry, it might be worth having that open and close. So, and then the last thing to do is just to glue down the top of the main turret. And again, as with everything about this model, it just pops right into place. So I'm going to toss our glue in place, making sure to keep it away from that primary cannon mount, because otherwise you would lose your ability to traverse up and down. But just a little pop as it pops into place. So there you have the HHT 90 Overlord. It also comes with a display base, and the display base goes together just like the connection between the top of the main turret and the bottom. They give you a little resin screw that you just insert through one side of the base. Of course, I have to actually clean that up. So, it's been fun actually making this video, because I thought I was completely prepared and found a couple of things that needed fixed as we go. And I would imagine that anybody doing this kit for the first time is going to have that kind of problems, and we at Through Gamer Goggles actually like to show a bit of that. I don't pretend to be some kind of super expert that never has a problem. You're most definitely going to encounter problems if you're a modeler of any kind, especially with some of these gaming models. There's just no way to get around it, and I think this video has been a good example of that. In fact, I did it again. Quick pair of pliers. This is a very tight fit for that the screw in the bottom, but basically pull that screw back out just enough, insert the platform that would actually glue to the bottom of the HHT 90, and again, everything slides into place very well. In fact, it's tighter than I would have hoped. It's not. Nothing about that is a bad thing in any way. But if you glue this other cap into place, just like the one from the turret, this will be a very posable mount. And I'm not going to glue this onto the bottom of the tank right now, because I haven't decided how I want to base the tank. But it will fit by way of this square spot here right onto the platform, and that would allow you pretty decent posability, and it keeps it up off the table, so it gives you the impression of the hovering. In any case, This has been another episode of Figure Forge through Gamer Goggles. That's gamer-goggles.com. I'm Don, and I had a blast showing you how this goes together. I look forward to painting it up for you, and then hopefully blowing the snot out of Matt with it.